All right, let's dive into the delicious world of dark chocolate. I have a feeling this is going to be a popular one.
Well, who doesn't love chocolate? But this deep dive is about more than just satisfying a sweet tooth.
Exactly. We're going to be exploring some pretty fascinating potential health benefits backed by science.
And our guide for this journey is a recent article from Medical News Today.
Oh yeah, dark chocolate, health benefits, nutrition, and how much to eat.
That's the one. It was medically reviewed and updated just last month, so it's got all the latest info.
Perfect. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is it that sets dark chocolate apart from, say, a milk chocolate bar?
It all comes down to the cacao content. Think of cacao as the OG chocolate, the raw, unprocessed source.
Gotcha, the raw deal.
Exactly. And dark chocolate has a way higher percentage of cacao than milk chocolate, meaning it keeps more of those good nutrients from the cacao bean.
Okay, so more cacao, less processing. What kind of nutrients are we actually talking about here?
Well, the USDA data shows that a typical 100-gram bar of dark chocolate, like 70–85% cacao, has got a decent amount of protein and fiber.
Not bad.
Yeah, you'll find some iron and zinc in there too. But the real all-star is the magnesium, a whopping 230 milligrams.
Whoa, 230 milligrams. That's a lot, right? Like, how does that stack up against other magnesium-rich foods?
It's pretty impressive. You'd have to eat a mountain of spinach or like handfuls and handfuls of almonds to hit that same level of magnesium. And magnesium, it's like this essential mineral that does so much for your body.
Yeah, I've heard it's important for everything from blood sugar to muscles and nerves, right?
Exactly. So getting a good dose of magnesium from something as delicious as dark chocolate, that's a definite win-win.
Okay, starting to see the appeal here beyond just the taste.
Yeah.
But I got to ask about the antioxidants. I hear that term thrown around a lot with dark chocolate. What's the connection there?
Now, this is where things get really interesting. Dark chocolate is jam-packed with antioxidants, especially these things called flavonols and polyphenols.
Okay, so antioxidants, flavonols, polyphenols. Break it down for me. What are these things and why should we care?
Well, think of antioxidants like tiny little warriors in your body constantly fighting off these villains called free radicals. Free radicals are kind of these unstable molecules that can cause damage to your cells. Imagine it like rust, slowly corroding metal.
So antioxidants prevent us from rusting, basically. But how does that rusting actually affect our health?
Well, that rusting, it's what scientists call oxidative stress, and it's linked to like a ton of different diseases: heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, you name it. So by fighting off those free radicals, antioxidants can potentially help reduce your risk of developing those conditions.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So indulging in a bit of dark chocolate could actually be a tasty way to support overall health.
Exactly. And there's actually a growing body of research looking at dark chocolate's impact on specific health conditions. Maybe we should start with heart health. Some of the most compelling evidence is there.
Let's talk about the heart. I've heard that dark chocolate can be good for your blood pressure. Is there any truth to that?
There absolutely is. And it goes back to those flavonols we were talking about earlier.
Okay, remind me, what were those again?
Flavonols are those powerful antioxidants found in dark chocolate. Well, they can actually stimulate the production of nitric oxide in your body, which helps lower blood pressure.
Nitric oxide. That rings a bell.
Right. So nitric oxide, it acts like a vasodilator, meaning it relaxes and widens your blood vessels. This, in turn, lets blood flow more easily, reducing the pressure on your artery walls.
Ah, so it's not just about popping a pill to lower blood pressure, but actually helping your body's natural mechanisms work better.
Precisely. And the research is pretty compelling, too. Like, there is this 2015 study that found folks with type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure who ate dark chocolate every day for like 8 weeks saw a noticeable drop in their blood pressure.
Wow, that's significant. Compared to what?
The control group in that study was eating white chocolate, and they didn't see the same benefit.
Fascinating. So it really seems like the flavonols in dark chocolate are the key players here. But what about cholesterol? Does dark chocolate have any effect on those levels too?
It actually does. Dark chocolate has these compounds like polyphenols and theobromine that research suggests may help regulate your cholesterol levels.
Okay, break that down a little more. What does that mean for our good and bad cholesterol?
Sure. So they may help lower the bad LDL cholesterol and increase the good HDL cholesterol. Getting that balance right is super important for heart health.
Right, because the bad cholesterol can build up in your arteries and...
And form plaque that restricts blood flow, exactly. And HDL cholesterol, well, it's like a cleanup crew that picks up that excess cholesterol and carries it back to your liver to be processed.
So dark chocolate might actually help prevent that dangerous plaque buildup.
That's what the research suggests. And there's this really cool 2017 study that looked at this. They added almonds and dark chocolate to like a typical American diet.
Interesting combination.
Well, they found that this combo actually had the potential to reduce the risk of coronary heart disease. And the dark chocolate specifically seemed to target those harmful, small, dense LDL particles, the ones that are especially bad for your arteries.
So a handful of almonds and a bit of dark chocolate could be a delicious way to support heart health. Sign me up. But I'm curious, what other potential benefits might we be overlooking? I mean, we've only talked about the heart so far. What else is there?
Well, there's a lot of buzz about dark chocolate's anti-inflammatory properties. For one, you see, inflammation, it's a natural process. It helps your body heal. But when it becomes chronic,
Chronic inflammation. That's when things get tricky, right?
exactly, it can actually contribute to diseases like type 2 diabetes and some types of cancer.
So it's not inflammation itself that's the problem. It's when it's constantly switched on.
Precisely. And the exciting thing is, dark chocolate has compounds that research suggests might help tame that chronic inflammation.
So on top of potentially benefiting our hearts, dark chocolate might also be addressing this underlying inflammation issue. It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of what dark chocolate can do.
We are, and trust me, there's a lot more to uncover, like its potential impact on blood sugar control or its intriguing connection to brain health.
Brain health. Now you got my attention.
We'll dive into all of that and more in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
All right, I am definitely ready for more. But for now, I think I'll grab a piece of dark chocolate and let everything we've learned so far sink in. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the world of dark chocolate. Last time, we were talking about all those amazing heart health benefits.
And don't forget those powerful antioxidants fighting off those free radicals.
Right. But we kind of left off on a cliffhanger, hinting at dark chocolate's potential impact on blood sugar and even brain health.
And those areas of research are definitely worth a closer look. Let's start with that blood sugar connection. We were talking about insulin sensitivity before the break.
Okay, insulin sensitivity. That's one of those terms that always makes me feel like I should have paid more attention in biology class.
Don't worry, I'll break it down. So insulin, it's this hormone that helps your body regulate blood sugar levels, right?
Keeps everything balanced.
Exactly. But when your cells become resistant to insulin, they're basically not responding to it as well as they should.
Oh, so it's like the insulin is knocking on the door, but nobody's answering.
That's a great way to put it. And that can lead to a buildup of glucose in your bloodstream, which increases your risk of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes.
So insulin resistance is basically your body struggling to manage blood sugar effectively. But what does dark chocolate have to do with all of this?
Well, that's the really interesting part. Research suggests that dark chocolate might actually improve insulin sensitivity.
Really? How does that even work? I mean, it's chocolate.
It seems that the flavanols in dark chocolate, those antioxidants we were talking about, might actually help enhance the signaling pathways involved in insulin action.
So dark chocolate could be helping our cells become more responsive to insulin.
Exactly. There was a 2018 study that looked at the effects of dark chocolate on blood glucose levels and insulin resistance in a group of Hispanic individuals.
What did they find?
The study found that those who consumed a good amount of dark chocolate every day, about 48 grams of 70% cacao, had lower fasting glucose levels and improved insulin sensitivity.
Wow, 48 grams. That's a decent chunk of chocolate. So you're telling me that dark chocolate could actually be part of a strategy for managing blood sugar levels?
It's a promising area of research for sure, and it just goes to show food can be a powerful tool when it comes to health. But hey, speaking of powerful tools, let's shift gears and talk about the brain.
All right, brain power. Now, this is the part I've been looking forward to. Does dark chocolate actually make you smarter?
Well, maybe not smarter in the genius IQ sense, but there is evidence that suggests dark chocolate can enhance brain function in certain ways.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Like what?
Well, some studies have shown that the flavanols in dark chocolate might improve cognitive performance, things like memory, learning.
So it's more about optimizing what's already there rather than adding something new.
Exactly. And there are a couple of ways that dark chocolate might be doing this. It could be improving blood flow to the brain, Blood flow is essential for optimal brain function.
Makes sense. The brain needs all those nutrients and oxygen to work properly.
Right. And flavanols might also be stimulating the production of new brain cells and enhancing communication between neurons.
So kind of like boosting the brain's infrastructure and making everything run more smoothly. Pretty impressive for a little piece of chocolate.
Right. There was one study that really caught my eye. It found that flavanols in dark chocolate might improve neuroplasticity.
Neuroplasticity. Now, there's a word I haven't heard in a while. Refresh my memory.
Think of it as your brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself, in response to new experiences, learning new things.
Ah, so like when you pick up a new skill or learn a new language.
Exactly. It's all about staying mentally flexible and forming new memories. And neuroplasticity is crucial for that.
So dark chocolate could potentially help keep our brains sharp and adaptable as we age. I like where this is going.
There's even some research suggesting that it might offer a bit of protection against neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
Now, that's something I think everyone wants to hear.
Right. There was this 2016 study that found a positive correlation between eating chocolate regularly and improved cognitive performance.
Sounds promising, but I imagine more research is needed.
Definitely. It's important to note that this particular study relied on self-reported data, meaning people were reporting their own chocolate consumption and cognitive abilities. So while it's an interesting finding, we definitely need more robust research to confirm those results.
Okay, so we've covered the heart, blood sugar, and the brain. What other areas of health might dark chocolate be influencing? This stuff seems like a miracle food.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. But speaking of exciting areas of research, have you ever heard of the gut microbiome?
The gut microbiome. I've heard that term thrown around, but I'm not sure I fully understand it. What is it exactly, and what does dark chocolate have to do with it?
It's fascinating stuff. Basically, your gut microbiome is this massive community of trillions of bacteria that live in your digestive tract.
Trillions. Wow, that's a lot of roommates.
Right. And they're not just freeloading either. They actually play a crucial role in a ton of bodily functions, from digestion and nutrient absorption to immune function and even mental health.
So a healthy gut is really important for overall well-being. But how does dark chocolate fit into this whole gut microbiome picture?
Well, it turns out that dark chocolate can actually increase the diversity of your gut microbiome.
Diversity. Okay, why is diversity a good thing when it comes to gut bacteria?
A more diverse gut microbiome is generally a good sign. It means there's a wider range of beneficial bacteria working together to keep things running smoothly.
So dark chocolate could be acting as a prebiotic, sort of like fertilizer for the good bacteria in our gut.
That's a great analogy. A 2022 study from South Korea actually found that people who ate dark chocolate showed increased diversity in their gut microbiome.
So dark chocolate might not just be good for our physical health, but potentially our mental well-being too.
That's what this study suggests. They found a positive correlation between dark chocolate consumption and mood. It's possible that this is due to that enhanced microbial diversity in the gut.
A happy gut, a happy mood. I like the sound of that. But okay, before we all go out and buy a year's supply of dark chocolate, we need to talk about moderation, right?
You're absolutely right. As amazing as all of this sounds, we have to remember that dark chocolate, despite all its potential benefits, is still a treat.
Right, it's not a free pass to eat chocolate all day long.
Exactly. It's relatively high in calories and fat, so overindulging can lead to weight gain and other issues. We don't want to undo all that good work.
Okay, so how much dark chocolate is considered a moderate amount? What's the sweet spot?
Most of the studies we've been talking about used around 20 to 30 grams of dark chocolate per day.
Okay, so roughly the size of one of those standard chocolate bar squares. Seems doable.
Yeah.
But are there any other potential drawbacks or risks that we haven't talked about yet?
There are a couple of things to keep in mind. First, remember that dark chocolate does have some caffeine in it.
Ah, right. Just like coffee.
Exactly. But it usually has way less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Still, if you're really sensitive to caffeine, it's something to be aware of.
And you mentioned something earlier about heavy metals in some dark chocolate brands. That sounds a little scary.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's true. Consumer Reports recently did some testing on a bunch of popular dark chocolate brands.
Oh no, what did they find?
Well, they found that many of them contain levels of lead and cadmium that were higher than their recommended limits.
Lead and cadmium. Those don't sound like things I want in my chocolate.
Right. And the problem is these heavy metals can accumulate in your body over time and potentially cause health problems.
So it's not just about grabbing any old dark chocolate bar off the shelf. We need to be a little more discerning.
Right. Exactly. The good news is that Consumer Reports also identified some safer brands with lower levels of heavy metals.
Oh, good. Which ones are those?
They recommend brands like Ghirardelli, Mast, Taza, and Valrhona.
Okay, I'm writing those down. I definitely want to be making informed choices. But before we move on, can we debunk a few common myths about dark chocolate? I think it's important to clear the air. Like, for example, I've heard people say that dark chocolate causes acne. Is there any truth to that?
That's one of those persistent myths that just won't die. But honestly, there's no scientific evidence to back up a direct link between dark chocolate and acne. Acne is a complex condition. There are lots of factors involved: genetics, hormones, bacteria.
Right. It's not usually as simple as blaming one specific food.
Exactly. While diet can definitely play a role in some cases, dark chocolate itself hasn't been proven to be a culprit.
All right. Good to know.
Yeah.
So I can enjoy my dark chocolate without worrying about a breakout. What about the idea that all dark chocolate is created equal? I mean, is there really a difference between one bar and another?
Not at all. Remember, it all comes back to that cacao percentage. The higher the percentage, the more you're getting those antioxidants and beneficial compounds.
Right. Cacao is king.
But it's not just about the number on the label. The quality of the cacao beans themselves, the way the chocolate is processed, even the other ingredients that get added, all of that can impact the nutritional value and the taste of the final product.
So it really pays to do your research and choose brands that prioritize quality and transparency. I'm sensing a theme here.
What other misconceptions have you come across?
Well, there's this idea that dark chocolate is a guilt-free indulgence. But as we've been discussing, even with all of its potential health benefits, it's still important to enjoy it in moderation, right?
Absolutely. It's not a license to overindulge just because it has
It's
antioxidants.
all about balance, enjoying the potential benefits without neglecting the other aspects of a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly. Now, before we wrap up part two of our deep dive, I'd love to talk about some practical ways to incorporate dark chocolate into your diet. Because it's not just about grabbing a square and munching on it. There are so many creative ways to enjoy dark chocolate.
Oh, I'm all ears. I'm always looking for new ways to get my dark chocolate fix.
Well, one super simple way is to add it to smoothies.
Ooh, I like that.
It gives it that rich, chocolatey flavor and a boost of antioxidants all in one. You could try it in a berry smoothie or even a green smoothie if you're feeling adventurous.
Okay, I'm definitely trying that. What about melting it? Can you melt dark chocolate and drizzle it over things?
Absolutely. It's delicious over fruit, yogurt, even popcorn.
Okay, now you're talking. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. But what about baking? Can you bake with dark chocolate?
Of course, dark chocolate is a fantastic ingredient for baking. Muffins, cakes, brownies. You can even use it to make energy bars.
So I can satisfy my sweet tooth and get a nutritional boost at the same time. Win-win. But before I go on a dark chocolate baking spree, do you have any other tips for how to really enjoy it mindfully?
One of the best things you can do is to really pay attention to the experience. Take a moment to appreciate the aroma, the texture, the complex flavors. Let it melt slowly in your mouth and notice the subtle nuances.
It's like a chocolate meditation.
In a way, it is. By slowing down and being fully present in the moment, you can really enhance the enjoyment and satisfaction you get, even from just a small piece.
That's such a good point. It's so easy to just mindlessly snack and not even really taste what you're eating.
Mindful eating can really transform your relationship with food. It helps you appreciate those simple pleasures so much more.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in part two, from insulin sensitivity and brain health to the gut microbiome and mindful eating. I'm feeling pretty good about my dark chocolate knowledge now.
Me too. We've dug into the science, debunked some myths, and even got a little creative with ways to enjoy this amazing treat.
But before we move on, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember about dark chocolate?
I think the most important message is that dark chocolate can be a delicious and potentially beneficial part of a healthy lifestyle.
Right, it's not just about the taste.
Exactly, but it's not a miracle cure or a substitute for a balanced diet and exercise.
It's about finding that sweet spot, enjoying it mindfully, choosing high-quality brands, and listening to your body.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time for a little taste test. We've gathered a few of our personal favorite dark chocolate brands, all chosen for their quality, flavor, and ethical sourcing practices.
Oh, I've been waiting for this part. So if you have a piece of dark chocolate handy, I encourage you to join us as we explore the nuances of each selection. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back to our dark chocolate extravaganza.
The grand finale. Our taste buds are ready.
Mine too. So for those just joining us, we're about to do a little tasting of some of our favorite dark chocolate brands. We picked these out for their quality, flavor, and ethical sourcing.
We did our research, and if you happen to have a piece of dark chocolate nearby, we encourage you to join in and savor the experience along with us.
All right, let's dive in. First up, we have a bar from Ghirardelli. Their intense dark 86% cacao.
This one's a classic, you know, a real crowd pleaser for good reason.
Yeah, I love this one. It's so rich and chocolatey, but not too bitter.
Exactly. Intense but balanced.
I'm getting a little bit of fruitiness too, like maybe a hint of cherry or blackberry.
Oh, yeah. Now that you mention it, I can taste that. And it's
Yeah.
got that really smooth, velvety texture. It just melts in your mouth.
All right, next up we have a bar from Mast, their organic dark chocolate with sea salt.
Ooh, this one's a little more adventurous.
Yeah, I love the combination of sweet and salty.
Me too. That touch of sea salt really brightens up the chocolate's natural
Get
sweetness.
like a little party in your mouth.
I think the salt also brings out some of the more complex flavors in the cacao beans. I'm getting like nutty notes and even a little earthiness.
Okay, moving on to something a little different. We have a bar from Taza, their stone ground organic dark chocolate with cacao nibs.
Taza is so interesting. They have this unique stone ground process, which gives their chocolate a slightly gritty texture.
I was just going to say, I love that little bit of crunch from the cacao nibs. It's like a double dose of chocolate.
And because it's stone ground, more of the natural cacao butter stays in the chocolate, so it has this slightly coarser, more rustic feel to it.
And last but not least, we have a bar from Valrhona, their Guanaja, 70% dark chocolate.
Oh, Valrhona. They're like the royalty of French chocolate makers, known for their incredible quality and craftsmanship.
This bar is definitely in a league of its own. So
Mm.
smooth, so refined. The flavors are amazing.
I know, it's like a symphony in your mouth. I'm getting coffee, tobacco, maybe even a little dried fruit.
It's the kind of chocolate you really have to sit with and savor.
And speaking of savoring, it's a good reminder of what we've been talking about throughout this whole deep dive, right? Mindful enjoyment is so important when it comes to truly appreciating the experience and those potential benefits of dark chocolate.
It's not just about gobbling it down, it's about really taking it all in.
Exactly, engaging all your senses.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our chocolate cravings are satisfied and we've learned a ton about this amazing food.
We really have. From the science behind those potential health benefits to the art of tasting and appreciating different varieties.
I hope this deep dive has left you feeling a little more empowered to choose your dark chocolate wisely and really savor those potential benefits.
And remember, it's all about incorporating it into a balanced and mindful lifestyle.
Absolutely. So next time you reach for a piece of dark chocolate, think about everything we've talked about: the history, the potential health perks, the importance of quality.
And until our next deep dive, happy indulging.
Happy indulging.